there, it's Critic AL, and today I'm going to talk about how 2025 was the year of the coward. So 2025 is not going to go down as one of the finest years in cinematic output. This year did nothing at all to indicate that theatres will survive beyond the next few years, especially if Netflix have their way with their acquisition of Warner Brothers. For me, one of the main issues that I had with 2025 was it showed just how afraid Hollywood is to take risks. Nothing is allowed to subvert, not like that, Rian, or challenge. That we're just going to get the cookie-cutter, crowd-pleasing films that are committee-generated, committee-approved. We need to have a happy ending. We need to have this. We need to have that. There's no braveness out there at all anymore. One or two auteurs still manage to put forward their vision and have a identifiable piece of work. I'm looking at people like Eggers, Guillermo del Toro. Although certainly those films still had their issues in various ways, artistically they were fairly intact. However, too many of the films that we got last year were soulless. There was nothing to them. So we're going to have a quick look at just a few of them, as I need to give examples, paying particular attention to two of the Stephen King adaptations that were absolutely atrocious. But first of all, I want to talk about a film that came out much earlier in the year, and that was Captain America: Brave New World, which was nothing of the sort. A completely incoherent, jumbled mess, clearly assembled from several cuts of the film, with extremely subpar CGI, a confusing, meander plot, characters that really made no sense, and a hilarious 4'0" girl boss. This was a film that I'm sure Marvel were panicking over for a long time. If it hadn't have been for the fact that this was Black Captain America, I'm pretty sure they would have shelved this, and you wouldn't have seen it. Captain America, unfortunately, just too big a name, and the first one with Sam holding the shield, got to get it out one way or the other. But I'm fairly sure at some stage they must have realised that this was a lost cause, stopped pumping money into it, stopped pumping money into the reshoots, and just written it off as what we got. Just, it had nothing to it at all. It had no passion, it had no drive, it had no vision. My review's up on my channel if you want to watch it. It's an awful, awful film. Following on from that, we got the Mickey 17 film, by Bong Joon-ho. This is one that I was actually looking forward to. I thought this could be very good. A sci-fi concept film. This idea of a guy getting reprinted, do the most dangerous jobs in the world. It had a lot of potential. Unfortunately, all of that potential and Robert Pattinson's charismatic performance were completely undone by Trump derangement syndrome, where we saw Mark Ruffalo taking the somewhat despot character from the books, but just going full on Orange Man bad. Laughably over the top with his version of Marshall just being a Trump caricature. Nobody would follow this man. The individual in the book is far more nuanced, and more than anything else, that's one of the things that's completely gone out of the window. And of course, we have to completely change the ending so that we have a strong, powerful woman become leader, which never happened in the book. I don't know if it's Bong Joon-ho as the director or if it's a studio or whatever, but the film was subverted. The film was subverted to push an agenda, to push a point of view, and that, in my opinion, it ruins any integrity that the film could have had, which is extremely disappointing. We'll move on from there. We'll go straight to the Hollywood blockbusters of the summer. So obviously, Jurassic Park: Afterbirth was a complete mess of a film. Again, Hollywoodized. You can tell exactly what's going to happen to every single individual and the order in which they're going to get bumped off by accordance of their identity or skin colour. And it played out exactly like that. Just speckled with a load of non sequiturs and ridiculous incidents and just the most trite video game-esque. This really appears to be a format of the lazy writing, is the video game quest type thing. We need 3 of this. We need some more of this. you know, and then you've got the level and then the boss fight and then the next level. And yeah, I mean, Jurassic Park Afterbirth was full of that. The moments that there was a dinosaur on screen, an actual dinosaur, not the bombless Belaramsaurus that we got, then I was entertained. Any other time, just complete nonsense, utterly forgettable. After that, we got Superman. Again, James Gunn doing James Gunn. You know, not willing to do anything else, not willing to take any risks, just James Gunn. I'm all for making a film identifiable as being by a creator, but sometimes a creator needs to know how to change his approach for different types of movies. Look at somebody like Rob Reiner, for example. Rob Reiner knew how to make a slightly different film dependent upon the type of film he was making. He knew to alter things. James Gunn just makes the same film, no matter what he's doing, over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I don't think he can do anything different. And it's unfortunate because we just got Superman and Friends. James Gunn really only knows how to do this ensemble cast type thing. And we didn't really get a Superman film at all. The first Superman film we did get was, again, full of plot holes, nonsense, and bright noises. And, and the same with Fantastic Four. Again, another film that really was afraid to do anything else other than Sue Storm Strong. It wasn't necessarily as bad as I thought it was. There was a decent focus on family, but Pedro Pascal likes playing this secondary man. Reed Richards bumbles and apologises. Again, it wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was. The ending was pretty poor. But I mean, like, you know, Mr. Fantastic barely uses his powers, for example. It's all the Sue Storm show, and then you got the dynamic between Human Torch, Johnny Storm, and Ben. So much of that film, I feel, ended up on the cutting room floor. I think there's a lot of cut money to it. And then this brings us through to what really convinced me that 2025 was the year of the coward, was the Stephen King adaptations. First of all, we have The Long Walk. Now, full spoilers here for the source material and the film. But in the source material, after winning, the winner just keeps on walking. So inured is he at that point, so broken by the system, so obedient after, you know, being given that task, that harrowing task of walking to a certain pace, being chaperoned and pushed and prodded to do so, that even after he's won, he just keeps walking. The, you know, announcer type guy, I suppose, like calling after him, he just keeps going. It's a sobering and, yeah, somewhat dispiriting ending, but it adds... it has pathos. It adds to the hopelessness of the film. But Hollywood decided we can't have that. We need to have the heroic end. So they made up a revenge story and had that fulfilled. And it's unfortunate because I'd like to cast your mind back to Frank Darabont's The Mist. Now, the ending of The Mist is also different from the Stephen King original, but in this case for the better. And even Stephen King has turned around and said, that's a better ending than I wrote, before he went all crazy. And in the original ending of The Mist, after escaping from the mall and heading out, they just keep driving off into the mist. We have no idea what happens to it. It's left empty. They just drive off into a world of mist and monsters, and the eventual fate of our survivors is left up to the imagination, which is a fine ending on its own. There's no real problems with that ending. But in the Darabont film, we get something much more memorable, much more heartbreaking. One of the most brutally vicious endings to a film I think I can ever recall. And one that will stick with you forever after watching the film. So, after getting away with the survivors, they're driving through the mist, driving through these monsters, there's massive monsters in the mist, they can hear them. The car runs out of fuel, and they're stuck there. And rather than face the prospect of a slow death in the car, or leaving the car to try and continue on foot and being inevitably picked up by one of the monsters in the mist, Thomas Jane's character uses the revolver that he has and executes all of the other survivors to spare them, including his own son. Then he turns the revolver on himself, but unfortunately it's run out of bullets. He then gets out of the car, determined to offer himself to whatever monster may be there. And shortly after doing so, the mist clears and the army rolls through. Had he waited just a minute or two more, everybody would still be alive. He sinks to his knees and screams, and you know that he will be screaming forever. Now that's an ending. That's an ending, yeah? That's something you remember. That's something, yeah. It's not nice, but man, you're going to remember that. Let's compare that to The Running Man. Running Man, another Stephen King writing as Richard Bachman adaptation. My review of that is on my channel. You can see it. It's one of the multi-review videos that I did. It was an awful film. None of Edgar Wright's Elan snappy directing came through at all. Glenn Powell is too nice a guy to play Ben Richards, unfortunately. But it's the ending where they completely screw the pooch. In the original ending of the book, which I made sure to read shortly before the film came out, as I wanted to have some kind of comparison, you see the scene play out more or less the same. Ben Richards boards the plane with the bluff of the explosive, and the plane flies towards the main building. Bluff is called through, and as in the film, Ben Richards is told that his entire family is dead. They were killed and he has nothing to live for. However, in this version, after killing everybody on the plane, after the fights and that kind of stuff, Ben Richards, but in a hopeless act of revenge, flies the plane into the broadcast building. Again, it's nihilistic. It shows the brutality of the situation. It's not a Hollywood ending. But sometimes I think you need that. And despite Hollywood, I can understand a fair amount of trepidation about flying a plane into a tower, even 25 years later. I can understand that. But we got some kind of Hollywood ending where Ben Richards becomes the leader of the rebellion and goes back and takes them all down and gets reunited with his family, and all that kind of is horrific. Worst possible kind of way to, approach the film, especially given what else had been set up in the film. Again, a coward's way out, a cowardly ending. Just those, we need to maybe try and please as many people as possible. We're desperate for people to watch this film. Didn't make any difference. People didn't watch your film. It didn't do well. And we'll finally come to Predator Badlands, I think, released in November. Previews and what we knew about this film, I didn't expect it to be good. And when I walked into the film, I didn't have any quite idea of how bad it would be. It's a bad film by any metric. Again, I've done many, many videos on it. But the fact of the matter is they took the Predator, they Disneyfied him, they emasculated him, neutered the Predator. For all those saying, oh, he's still violent, he's still ripping, he's ripping androids apart, robots. And even though it's not particularly gory, like he's just ripping heads off, ripping arms off, vivisecting them and a bit of white fluids coming out. It's not overly violent in any real way. Like when you watch cartoons and they have that kind of violence and they're allowed to because it's robots. It's that. It's nothing more than that. This really is just not a Predator film in any way at all. But again, neutered, Disneyfied, emasculated, quips, that Marvel-type humour, afraid to do anything else. It's as formulaic as they come. A Predator film where we have an actual Predator stalking and killing people, not a disabled victim with daddy issues, might at least have been interesting. Badlands was just bad. And again, because there was no conviction behind it, there was no integrity, no drive to make anything other than kind of crowd-pleasing, Disneyfied pile of shite. And unfortunately, that's just what Disney knocks out time and time again. Formulaic bollocks. That's why in a year that we've had more remakes, prequels, reboot, all that kind of stuff, adaptations, than anything else, and then precious few new ideas, 2025, in my opinion, will stand out as the year of the coward. A year that Hollywood just showed it hasn't got anything worthwhile. And 2026 looks to be much the same. Much the same as very, very few films I'm looking forward to. I can't see cinemas surviving if things keep going like this, if I'm being honest. I do think that their days are numbered and that maybe cinemas don't have the resilience required to withstand this slump where there is very little worth coming out at the cinema going to see, apart from maybe your great big epic films. And I am talking about the likes of Avatar, which for all its failings, and there are many, is nonetheless an consistently engaging experience from a visceral perspective. The music is surround sound and boom, the big screen is bright, colourful, wonderful, wonderful visuals conjured up. And yeah, you might walk out of it and remember very little, but while you're there, you're being entertained, and that's the experience that people go for. Whereas so many of these other films haven't, and we know they're coming out shortly afterwards. You don't miss anything by seeing Predator on a small screen. You don't miss anything at all. Same goes for The Running Man, anything like that. There's no real drive or there's no real advantage to seeing these films when they come out. They're as passive as they come. So yeah, I'm not sure that I see cinema necessarily surviving going forward. We'll have to wait and see. It comes to the choice of paying $15 or $20, whatever it is in American, and from what I understand, you have to smuggle your own snacks in there. I don't understand this. In the UK, you can literally walk in with a carrier bag full of stuff from the pound shop, nobody cares. Why would you have that experience with somebody on their phone or people talking in the background? It's one thing when you have a sold-out theatre. When you have a sold-out theatre and you're a sold-out theatre and the whole crowd is behind it, and it's just like, yeah, you can get that experience. It's like football, you know, the crowd makes the experience. Like a good gig. The crowd is there, you know, the sixth band member or whatever. You get that drive and you get that energy exchange. When you're in a cinema with like 5-6 other people and 3 of them are talking to each other, it's just a horrific experience. So yeah, I'm not sure that's going to survive. Anyway, that's my first video of 2026. What a cheery video! I'll try and do better for the next one. But yeah, that's why I thought 2025 was basically the year of the coward for Hollywood. Let me know what you think. And as always, I have been Critic AL, and I will be back with another video soon.